Good evening and welcome. Welcome to my live stream. Um, Fight CPS. Stop taking our children. I'm your host, Bob Pace, and it's a warm welcome. Many of you come from all over the world, including the United States, too. I've talked to over 2,200 people since started this live stream back in October of 2023. That's 18 months. And twice a day, I'm on here. On my morning show is Fight CPS with Bob Pace. And it starts um, in the morning at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. Then on the weekends, it starts at 8. So tomorrow morning, I'll be on at 8 o'clock. The evening show is at 7 o'clock. It's Fight CPS. Stop taking our children. Now, what I call CPS, I call it the Child Protection System. The Child Protection System. It's found in every county in every state. Now, I have 8 rooms that are connected here to this live stream. And you found me on Facebook is where you find me. And just type in Fight CPS and you come across Bob Pace. And I try to share with you my experience and what went wrong in my case. I, too, am a very bad victim of CPS. They've destroyed my life. I've lost my daughter because of it. I've lost contact with my family members. I lost my forever home. It's been a nightmare, even to find work, because being involved in CPS will count nightmares for you to get a job. Now, this is an interactive podcast. It's you who makes this podcast interesting. I'd rather have you talk about subjects, about you coming up with questions to ask. Now, I'd love for you to text me a message, either a question or a comment about CPS. Please state your first name, your city and county, and the state. And if you're from a different country, your country. Also, the first time you text a message, please tell me about your case from the knock on the door to where you presently are at on your case. The more I know about it, the more better it is to try to help you. If we try to go back and forth and play ping pong, it may take the whole show to discuss your case. So try to be really thorough in what you tell me. Don't have me guessing. Because you're in here because you need help. Most of you have a financial problem, like me, and you need help and you can't afford an attorney. CPS requires you to have an attorney. It's very complicated. It's like doing open heart surgery. You need to have a doctor. You yourself can't do open heart surgery, and nor can a plumber or any other people like that.
Only one, Bob. There's two more that go with it. That's just one part, just 3 parts.
I was listening to a message from one of my regular listeners in here, Christina Renoza, and I see above, I missed the other 2 parts. I didn't see that. Okay, I have a call from Samantha. Um, and she's from area code 805. She's from Santa Barbara County. And I'm going to get signed up on it right now. Sandra Bernard from has a case in LA County. So she's let me know. Hello, Megan Tabitha. Wow. Is this the Megan in Wilmington, Delaware? And you got a new name, last name? I'm not Vince, Megan. I'm Bob Pace. This is what Bob Pace looks like. Vince is that good looking guy in the upper right hand corner of my screen. And this is Megan Wilson, who has another name called Tabitha. I guess you watch Bewitched or something and likes Tabitha. Excuse me. Tabitha was the daughter of the witch lady. And I can't seem to place her name. But anyway, I'm glad to see you, Megan, from Wilmington, Delaware. That's really good. Oh, Tabitha's in the Bible. I'm sorry. Tabitha is beautiful. I agree. Anyway, hi. And what's the latest, Megan? What's the latest, and what question do you have for me, or what would you like me to discuss or help you out with? All the children, yeah, I that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with protection of our children and do family reunification and get our children back. It may be like tunnels. I agree with you on that. You know, when they're in foster care, it's really bad because they lose their identity and they're forced to do things they're not supposed to do. Ugh. Hello, Samantha Bernard. Are you supposed to be on my live cast? Good. We have a guest tonight who just popped in. And I was just talking about how to be gas. This is San Bernard, who's from Santa Barbara County. No one told me you're coming on, so I'm glad you are on. I'm going to put you on right now. I was just tell people what they can do in the room and let me put my phone number up there. So I'll bring you on. We'll add you to the stage. Can
Okay.
You, Samantha?
Yes.
Good. Welcome to my room as a guest. I'm honored. This is Samantha, who's been on my show recently. It was a horrible case. 2 of her children have already been adopted, and I think she's got a 3rd child that tried to come over, her middle child. Is that right?
No, I have 3 more that they're trying to adopt out. 2 of them's been adopted.
Well, okay. Do you have a total of 5 children or 3 children?
Yes.
You have 5 children. 2 of them
Yes.
been adopted, and 3 more they're trying to take from you.
Yes.
Now, how did the first 2 get adopted?
Okay, well, the 3 that they're in the process of trying to adopt out are actually the 3 that they took first. Because my oldest was actually with my mom at the time, and then I had another baby back in 2023. And so they adopted my oldest and my youngest out first.
Okay.
Like they took my oldest off the case with the other 3 and put her on the case with the baby, kept the baby on her own case. That way they could bypass, special protections that we're supposed to get and everything. And I didn't even find any of this out until after the appeal time was already up, when I got all the paperwork from the appellate attorney.
So, what were you accused of that they had to adopt your children?
So they originally took my kids due to a dirty house that we were in the process of moving out of. Our landlord passed away. We woke up with the real estate agent knocking out the door, basically telling us, get what we're taking and get out. At the time, we lived in the back house. My parents lived in the front house. My dad had just been diagnosed with stage 3 esophageal cancer. And so my mom worked all day and my husband worked all day. I was having to take care of, at the time, my 4 kids and my dad, because he had a G tube for his feedings and his medications, and pack both mine and my parents' house. So I wasn't worried about cleaning it. That was the last thing on my plate. So they came the day before we had to be out of the house and took my kids for general neglect because of the house being dirty.
Well, was the house really that dirty?
Well, yeah, because everything that it wasn't that dirty. It's just every room had a pile that we weren't taking thrown off in the corner.
Okay. And why did the landlord say you had to get out of the house?
The landlord had passed away and her children sold the property without telling anybody.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. So it was get what you're taking and get out.
Now the new owners, are they the ones that did the eviction, or they didn't know?
No, it was a real estate agent.
Did you think about getting an attorney for eviction?
At the time, no, because, with everything that was going on with my dad and, my middle son, well, my oldest son, he's actually delayed about 18 months. When he was born deceased, and they had to revive him. And we spent 3.5 weeks in Madera's Children's Hospital in California. And, so he's delayed. So I just had a lot on my plate dealing with my kids and helping my dad. And so I didn't even think about getting a lawyer or anything. So
that sounds really, really hard on you.
it was, they took my kids January 14th of 2022. And then my dad passed away February 15th of 2022. And then they actually set up a visit because, like I said, my mom had my oldest child, so they didn't get her, which my mom showed up to the house before CPS ever even left with my kids, and they refused to give my kids to my mom. And so they set up a sibling visit and actually took my oldest daughter from my mom. when she brought her to visit with my kids.
Wow.
Yeah. And, we had talked to the supervisor. My mom even called me, and the supervisor even told us, we're not going to take her into protective custody. She's just going to go visit her siblings. And then we're going to they call my mom nanny. Then we'll bring her back to nanny so she could go to chair practice, because she's been in private chair since she was 2 years old. So she was already, in her practice outfit, everything. That way she could go straight to chair practice. And instead of taking her back to my mom, they took her into protective custody. So.
Oh boy. So you have a little bit of complications there.
Oh, yeah. I have over 35
with
pounds of court paperwork.
I believe it. I believe it. So what are you doing right now? What is your game of attack?
So right now, I'm actually trying to overturn the adoptions, because when my youngest daughter was born, I had her, originally I'm from Kern County in Bakersfield. I actually ended up having my daughter in Santa Maria, which is Santa Barbara County, because my husband's family is from the Central Coast.
Okay.
And so I had my daughter. She was 5 days before her due date, 8 pounds, 13 ounces, completely healthy. And the day after I had her, Kern County CPS showed up at the hospital to talk to me, which I thought was really awkward, because if a hospital contacts CPS, they're going to contact CPS in their county. I do have, medical knowledge. I used to work as an MA. So, I do know some of the way that the medical goes. But they tried saying that my daughter was positive for methamphetamines and I was positive for methamphetamines and marijuana.
Did you do those drugs?
No. And that's the whole thing also, is they went off the test that wasn't even confirmed.
Did you have a test done yourself by your own doctors?
No, I did tell my attorney that I wanted to challenge the hospital's test.
Did you think about doing your own test when they asked you to do a test?
No, I didn't. Only because the simple fact is I don't trust CPS at all, no matter what.
Right.
Me and my
I
husband,
agree.
we have done everything that they requested of us. Why?
Red light on your head that I need to do a drug test with my own doctor.
Yeah. Well, at the time, I was still drug testing for my other kids too, and all my tests had been clean. So
well, I'm trying to relay
until
a message to the room. We have a lot of followers in here.
yeah, oh yeah, you always
trying to tell
we've learned you
if
always
they-
want to go get your own drug test. Just at
Right.
the time with
If they
everything going
send
on.
you drugs and they want to test you, they can get a quarter to do so. But meanwhile, you need to get your own tests done by your own doctor, and so as a check and balance to make sure you're not wrongly accused, which you are.
Yes, very much so, because my kids were actually 2 days from coming home, and
Man.
yeah, all of mine and my husband's tests that were done at a lab were clean. We had our first weekend overnight visit with our kids. Our kids were so happy, and I took them back Sunday evening like I was supposed to. And then Monday morning, the caseworker called me and she told me, I need to come out and do a home check. I told her, okay, that's fine. I figured she just wanted to see how the weekend went, make sure everything was still good. And so me and my husband got up, we did our morning routine, brushed our teeth, went to the restroom. He got a cup of coffee, the normal routine. And then when she gets there, she's like, oh, well, I'm not here to do a home check. I'm actually here to drug test you.
Wow.
And that was the first time that they ever came out to the house to drug test us.
Now, why did you let them in your house?
At the time, my husband was on parole. And so they brought the police out with them, as they typically do. And so we knew if we told them no, that they couldn't come in, the police were going to be like, no, we're coming in anyways because he's on parole.
Yeah, I think they got you there, but the law says that they can't come into your home unless it's one of three ways. Either they have a
Exactly.
warrant and they're supposed to serve a warrant, and again, that warrant's got to be a legitimate warrant, or you give them permission to enter the home, or another family member gives permission, or there's violence heard in the background with children, and they'll come and break in the home.
Yeah, there's
But
a
just
immediate
because the guy's on parole,
circumstances.
that's the condition of the parole thing. So that is hard for some of your listeners. I guess there's a fourth way they can get in if someone's on parole there. So anyway, why did you talk to the social workers? What made you want to talk to them?
I didn't even talk to them like when they came out. And actually, like, they came out with 2 cops, and then they walked outside and they called another cop who actually came.
Now, were these sheriffs or local police?
I'm trying to think. I believe they were the police department.
I don't
like
understand
I said,
why social workers gets involved with the police. The people that are supposed to come out and protect the social workers are sheriffs, and Santa Barbara County has sheriffs. The sheriffs should have been the one coming out with a social worker.
Well, when they took my first 3, I was in Kern County. So my case started in county.
Well, whether you're in Santa Barbara or Kern, they still can't, unless they have a warrant or you give them permission or some type of violence going on.
Yeah. And so with my baby, I actually, they came in, Kern County came and talked to me and told me that, they'll call me and let me know if they're going to take her into protective custody and whatnot. And I was just like, whatever. I didn't really talk to them at all. I just looked at them. And so she left, and she called me later that day, told me that they're going to take her into protective custody and that somebody would be there the following day to pick her up from the hospital. And so I hung up the phone. The next day, my caseworker calls me around 2:30 in the afternoon, and he tells me that the worker that's coming to pick up my child is about an hour away from the hospital. And I told him, I said, the first time I didn't know my rights. By this time, I had already learned my rights. I learned that there was only the 3 legal ways they could take my child. Right. And I told myself, look, we both know there's no immediate physical bodily harm to my child. I said, secondly, I do not give you my consent to take my child. I said, so unless you have a warrant signed by a judge, you're not taking my daughter. And he went dead silent on the phone. To the point I had to literally be like, hello, are you there? Which that told me right there that Kern County did not have a warrant for my child.
Wow.
So 4:30 comes, 5:30 comes, 6:30 comes. And I finally tell my nurses, I'm like, look, can you please go and get mine and my daughter's discharge papers? I said, it's getting cold. Like I've told you guys all day, Kern County's not going to come because they don't have a warrant. I said, so either you can go get our discharge papers or I can contact law enforcement and let them know that you're holding us against our will. Mm-hmm. So at that time, they went to go get our discharge papers. And when they walked back in with my discharge papers and Santa Barbara County Child Protective Services.
Wow. This is getting more and more complicated as you discuss.
Yeah. And, at the time, I didn't know what extenuant circumstances, what the definition of that was, which I wish I had known at that time. For anybody who don't know what extenuant circumstances is, all it is immediate physical bodily harm to the child with no time to get a warrant.
Right.
And so they took my daughter due to extenuant circumstances. So Santa Barbara County took her. Kern County actually filed the detention petition on my daughter.
Uh-huh.
I just recently found out, there was no transfer documentation. There was no transfer hearing, which means Kern County wouldn't have had jurisdiction to make the orders that they made.
Okay.
So it makes all the orders on my child void ab initio. So that's why I'm in the process of trying to overturn the adoption process due to those orders being void. And because I've been using, Chat GPT, Microsoft Copilot, I actually inputted my court documents into it and told it, I want you to analyze this paperwork as if you were a dependency law specialist and give me a list of issues. And, it told me that the way that they moved my daughter around without judicial authority, all of that violated our due process. And so I'm trying to actually get the orders of them terminating our parental rights completely overturned for all 5 of my children, and requesting that all 5 of my children be immediately returned back to my custody.
Well, I hope they do. I hope and pray that that does happen.
Yeah, so I actually started going to school for my associates as a paralegal, just because I needed to find a way to fight for my kids, because these attorneys don't do crap. They work for the court. It's in their oath that their first duty is to their court and not their clients. And it's very, very sad. I found out that
Yes, it is.
I found out that my last attorney that I had was actually my children's first attorney, who had asked to be relieved from the case due to conflict with the parents.
Okay.
And then he was appointed as my attorney.
Oh boy, that was a change.
Yeah, so that's another reason why these orders can all get overturned, because of the conflict of interest, which I made a complaint to the American Bar Association. And, I sent him in the court transcript where, he even says that he was trying to do a reverse Marsden motion. And the judge at the time told him, you can't do that. So I had all those court transcripts I sent to the ABA. So there was no way that they could say that he didn't do anything wrong. But unfortunately, all they did was issue him a warning. So, but I've learned that the best thing to do is keep reading over your court papers, because I've read over my court papers multiple times. I mean, there's over 3,500 pages of court documents. And every time I read through them, I find something new every single time.
They do make mistakes. Let me share with you. The last couple of weeks, I've been dealing with social services. That's the agencies responsible for CPS, for food and shelter and clothing, transportation, educational, and medical. This social services,
adult services as well, like IHSS and home care, they're in charge of.
but this social services branch, and I'm talking about Orange County, California, was the same branch that took my case, and they believed the layman's reporters. You see, there's 2 ways that CPS cases are reported, either by a professional layman, like a doctor, a policeman, a fireman, a nurse, a teacher, a counselor, anybody that deals with children, caregiver, anybody that deals with children are required by law to report any suspected neglect and abuse. And they're supposed to take classes and identify that. But this social service is being investigated, as well as countless thousands are across the country. There's a government agency that was created called DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. And one of the pet peeves that our president had was how corrupt and how money was being wasted in social service and how parents were broken up with their families, no family reunification, no justification removal. So several weeks I had a phone interview with social services. And who lo and behold comes on the phone and says, identify himself, I'm a supervisor. I work for DOGE in Washington, D.C. We're out here investigating the Orange County Social Service Office. And we want to make sure you, as the client, the customer, are being treated fairly, honestly, and given assistance. I said, well, that's the first time I heard that. Well, this caseworker bent over backwards to try to help me. Normally they don't. Normally you spend 2 hours and wait on the phone, or you go down in person and wait 3 hours. So I don't know what's worse or not. But anyway, DOGE is investigating CPS, and CPS is corrupt, at least in my case in Orange County, also in LA County, San Bernardino County, Riverside County. Of course, I mentioned Orange County, Bakersfield County, Kern County, Santa Barbara County, San Diego County. Is there anything I left out? There's 58 counties in California, and we have one of the worst counties in the country. And it's strictly all about money. It's $1 trillion business that they make off us, because every month they're billing for a child $20,000 to be taken care of. They have incentive that they get a child adopted in foster care. They get incentive of $35,000 per child. So every child they get adopted, they get 35. They get nothing but headaches with family reunification. It takes too long, and it's sad. But if you stick with it and write a lot of good documentation, you can win your case. You can win your case.
Also, if the children have special needs, they get more money for them.
Yes,
if they have special,
they get another $15,000 of special needs. $20,000 is the basic fee. Then they get another $15,000, and if they get put in foster care, they get another $35,000. It's a money-making business, and there's no empty bucket.
Yeah, and then the adopted parents every year get another $30,000 every year since they adopted the child.
I agree. That's why, and they also like the foster care. People like to be foster care because normal adoption takes years, and you have you're vetted a long time. They check your background, so that's why they rather go and contact CPS and say, "Hey, I want to be a social care mom or dad. What can I do?" And they will go ahead and bootstrap them in. They don't go through any proper training. They have children themselves, and when the foster kids come stay at their home, their own biological kids are causing harm to the foster care. It's really sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, I've had to call the child abuse hotline on 4 different caretakers that's had my children. With my middle daughter, there was actually documentation from her pediatrician of low suspicion of abuse at this time while she was under the state's care. And I had to fight tooth and nail to get her removed from that home.
Okay.
And that home, they still kept my oldest daughter there, and that caretaker actually adopted my oldest daughter.
All right.
And then my son, who's delayed, he's had multiple marks. He had a mark on his neck that, literally up here, bruising, and they said it was from them grabbing his sweater and pulling it back, and from his zipper. My youngest son, he's had a broken arm. He's had a black eye with a bruise on his forehead from supposedly running into his bedpost on his toddler bed. Which, parents, how many toddler beds do you know that have bedposts? And then he had a bite mark on that literally covered his whole left cheek. And you could see the imprints, everything of it. And supposedly that one came from him falling and tripping over his boot while chasing a duck.
Okay.
There was an active abuse investigation going on with that caretaker when they terminated our rights. That's also the same home that my daughter was removed from because she said that she was touched inappropriately at.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who adopted my baby, and they're trying to adopt my youngest son. The only two of my kids that are together are my youngest two. The rest of them are all split up.
Okay. All right. Were you ever once involved in foster care as a small child yourself?
Yes, I was.
That's why they're after you, because they kept the records. Did you get your records expunged when you turned 18?
No, I did not know about getting my records expunged.
Yeah, a lot of people do it. I'm adding a lot of these extra things to you because I'm trying to get other people in this room some information. But when you turn 18, one of the first things you want to do is get your record expunged that you're in foster care. For some strange reason, they want to keep data on you. And what's happened is that they come back when you grow up and you start having kids, they come out and attack you.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say, but they do.
They do. And, my uncle was actually already a approved resource family through CPS, and they wouldn't give my kids to my uncle. My mom is a IHSS employee, which is Aging and Adult Services, taking care of the elderly and disabled. They did everything to slow drag her application where she couldn't get my kids.
Right.
Right. It's just crazy the way they do it. And it's, my mom's actually in the room tonight. And I was looking through the comments.
Good.
It was sheriff's office that came with CPS. So, like I said, everything just happened so fast. Like it was crazy, and
What has been your public defender like? What has your public defender been like?
Well, I've actually had 4 public defenders. 3 public defenders. I'm sorry. 2 of them I fired, and one of them just quit the case out of the blue.
Why did you fire them?
The first one, every time, any evidence that I had, anything, and I would tell her, look, this needs to be put in, or, I want this done, she'd always tell me, oh, now's not the time. And, she wouldn't do anything. So I filed for the Marsden motion. And I was going to represent myself at the time, but, the judge gave me a little quiz on, their legalese, as they call it, their terms and definitions of normal words that we don't know.
You failed, right?
And, I noticed that I didn't know a lot of these terms that I thought I did. So, I didn't, at that time, I didn't think it was in my best interest to try to represent myself. And so then I got another attorney, and that attorney is the one that just up and quit out of the blue. And then I got the last attorney, which I fired, because he wasn't doing anything, and I felt that, by this time I had already been doing my research, doing my studying. Black Law's Dictionary is the best book to look to for their definitions. Nexus, Lexis, Westlaw, they're the best places to go and look for case law, because that's what all the lawyers use to back up their cases. You can look it up through jurisdiction, by state, by federal, and it's just really awesome. You could just put in, what your issue is, and it will give you a list of case law. So, I found that really helpful too, which I got through my paralegal course, because like I said, I'm going for my associates right now. In the middle of October, I'll be done with my associate's degree.
Yeah.
So, when I fired that attorney, we have 16 volumes of court documents, which each volume is 300 pages. Volumes 1 through 15 are when me and my husband both have public pretenders. And volume 16 is where I represented myself. And volume 16 is thicker than volumes 1 through 15.
Hmm.
And I represent myself in one court hearing. And it is thicker than my 2 years of court cases.
Wow.
Yeah. And that, you know, once I got all the paperwork back from the appellate courts and I was reading through, that's when I found out the last attorney I fired was originally my kids' attorney. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that's a big no-no right there. And the judge should have known that. You know, so, but so right now I'm actually working on filing a extraordinary writ and taking it to the federal court. And also working on a couple other wits and everything. And you know, I do plan on trying to hire an attorney to, you know, help with the wit process and everything, because I know, because of my schooling with federal courts and everything, it can be very, very complicated. So it's been a crazy 3 years, let me tell you. From, you know, I lost my dad, which was my stepdad. I lost my biological father, my grandpa, my husband's grandpa. Me and my husband were actually in a head-on car accident on the way to one of our visits, where we went head-on at 80 miles per hour.
Oh no.
Me and my husband were both airlifted to the hospital. Thankfully, everybody survived, which everybody, if I was to pull up the pictures of our vehicle, everybody's like, how are you guys still here? My mom said when she was on the way to the hospital and she seen our vehicle on the tow truck, she told me, she said, all I could think is they're going to be dead before I get there. My husband's whole left side's mainly metal. It broke both of the bones in my wrist and then my left knee. We were both in wheelchairs. You know, I was back at the visit the week I got out of the hospital without being cleared or anything. I was back at my visits in my wheelchair with my kids.
Okay.
You
Good.
know,
Good.
even not even being cleared from my doctor, because I knew how important they were. You know, and every time we would complete the reason why they said that they were keeping my kids, you know, first it was the housing issue. Then once we got the house approved and they came out to drug test us, my husband's drug test was dirty, even though he used synthetic urine. So we know it wasn't dirty urine. Then it wasn't a housing issue. It became a substance abuse issue.
Right.
Once they terminated our services and we didn't have to drug test for them anymore, then it wasn't a substance abuse issue. Then we weren't consistent with our visitations.
Right. I could see that. Some people come in the room since you've been talking. One is Bartley from Montana. Hello, Bartley. She and Betty Joe are my two lovely ladies from Montana. And then we have a new one called the Classic Mommy. And thanks for advocating for family. Well, you're welcome, Classic Mommy. I have no idea where you're from, but that's interesting. Thank you for sharing my CPS case. My professional license. I quit my PhD in dissertation to fight my against CPS. So that's sad. I hope you can go back and finish your PhD. Classic Mommy. For all you listening right now, is that we have um, a very special guest. It's a lady from Santa Barbara County who is trying to fight where some of her kids now have gone through adoptions and so forth there. It's Sandra. Um, it's Samantha. I keep saying Sandra. It's Samantha Bernard is who she is. And she has really opened up her heart to tell her about her case. One thing I like all my listeners, including Samantha, is that never give up. Let me
No,
tell you
no.
something. I've learned a lot of ways here. I've been dealing with social services directly the last couple of weeks. I was getting recertified and for aid from social services. And when I had my phone conference, a lady came in and introduced herself as a supervisor, but she wasn't from social service. She's from DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency in Washington, D.C. And she says, I'm on the phone to listen and to make sure you as a client are treated fairly and so forth. So I know that DOGE is a real thing. I know that they are trying to investigate all the government agencies to see which ones are efficient, which ones need to be stripped of dead meat, or what do you want to call it, dead use of people that are dead and they're still getting a paycheck, or people that work at home and not working at home. They have to come into work. So, there should be people working. I mean, when you go into college, a young child, understand that you're going to concentrate on school. The old days, children used to work on the farm and they have to help out the families. So the old days, children worked. They were an economy that worked. But we have too many people that get out of high school that don't go into college, that sit around and do nothing. They don't even get a job. And they go and they milk the system. They fabricate or lie or whatever it is. And it's sad because the system can't catch everyone that is fraud. So this DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, is investigating. And one of them is the Orange County of Social Services in California. Now, California is really a troubled state because it's full on Democrats. I'm not trying to say Trump was trying to get there, is we can't keep going with open borders. Too many people are being killed. In New York last night, a child was being abducted by an illegal alien. This guy had some money. He took the children right from the parents. Of course, these parents are smart. They run the guy down, threw him on the ground, and the police got him. Now ICE has him. You have to understand, it is a very heartful thing, and California is a hotbed of illegal immigrations because coming from south to Mexico. But you can imagine an open door policy that anybody can come in the country. For 4 years is like that. 4 years. So we have this ongoing push. The problem they're getting caught up are the children. The children are the ones that are getting hurt. A lot of them were brought in by the cartel, and the cartel to use them as shields, meaning that they want to bring their drugs in. So they came with children and pretend they were a family trying to get asylum here. You see, we were so loose. We never required them to get asylum. If you want to come to the United States, I welcome you. We all are immigrants, including the Native American Indians. They were the first immigrants. They came and walked in through Alaska and settled in North America down to Central America and South America. Those were the first immigrants. But they too, used the land, and they spoke, a language of the land and so forth. But then Europeans started selling to North America. And at first we said, well, we want you to learn a common language everybody speaks. I don't care if it's Chinese. At least have a language that everybody can understand you. I mean, it's terrible if you go from one town to the next town and you speak in Dutch, or you speak in German, or you speak in Russian. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, those languages are important. But if you go to other countries, do they have English as a language? No. If you ride on a bus in Europe, there's not signs in English. It's either in French or wherever you happen to be, Dutch in Holland, German in Germany, and so forth. So we need to speak a language, and we need to do a process where you learn about the U.S. history. You have to know about the history if you're going to live here. because the history will help you. Also, you need to learn about the government. There's 3 branches of government. You have to learn how they work. If you don't, then how are you going to fight CPS? How are you going to fight CPS? So I'm telling you, all you people out there, that you have to be a fighter in this country. Don't give up. Now, after I did all this, they made an erroneous error, and I had gotten medical insurance because I had $100 raise on my Social Security retirement check, $100. So they said, well, you're no longer eligible for Medi-Cal, which is the government assistance medical plan here in California. You have a $2,000 deductible. I said, what do you mean by $2,000? Well, every month we will cover any expenses over $2,000. Well, who in a family spends over $2,000 in medical? Not very many, unless you have a serious thing come up. You go see a doctor, maybe $150. You buy some medicine, maybe $100. You know, you get an x-ray done, maybe $300. But that doesn't total up to over $2,000. Yes, if you're in the hospital, an emergency room for a week, yeah, that could be $2,000. So they said, since you don't qualify for Medicare, you covered for what's called covered California. Now, you can find medical for low income that you don't qualify through the social services, through the IRS. You go to the IRS and they'll give you the link. But in California, it's called Covered California. So they made an erroneous error. I had gotten a deductible premium for medical for my family, for my son and my wife. My wife's premium plan every month was $2.80. My son's was 28 cents. Together, $3.12 a month. Then they had co-payments, $5 to see a doctor, $8 to see a specialist, $8 to have your blood work done, $8 for an x-ray, $8 for MRI, and then $150 you have to go to emergency, $8 to go to urgent care. But it's through a good medical plan. It's through the Hogue Medical. It's a great plan. I thought, oh, heaven forbid me, I can possibly afford that, maybe. We just can't go to the doctors that often. Well, this month I received a letter that said, congratulations, your premium and now is $1,300. I said, how did it go from $3.12 to $1,300? And the people are so stupid in all parts of the way. I finally had to go to the supervisor because I was ready to go to the director of social services in Orange County. And I don't want to do that because I've already fought the director of social services and the CPS thing of things. But she got on the line and said, oh, we screwed up. So she got me on the phone. I had a 3-way conversation. I had a lady from Blue Cross of California, Covered California, and the social services of California in the Orange County area. So these 3 individuals were on the phone with me. I got all their names and references. Someone didn't want to give that. Some were belligerent. But it took me 3 hours on the phone. Normally I go in person and drive in to social services. But it cost me $10 in gas. If I ride a bus, it's cheaper. I'm a senior, so it only costs me $1.50 for a round trip bus fare. But it's 2 buses and it takes 3 hours. So, you spend all day. But anyway, I was on the phone and I finally got it accomplished at 4:00 this afternoon, my time. So my lesson to all you guys, I'm sharing all this as a life skill, is be persistent. If you don't get anywhere at the current level, just say very nicely, could I speak to the supervisor? I'm over nice to these people. They're social workers. Over nice to supervisors and to directors. I'm over nice. I do that purposely so that I can get further. But I was persistent. So the rule is, you're fighting CPS, I did the same thing, is don't give up. And you have to go to the top. And it's hard. I know you're shaking your head there. What am I saying wrong?
No, I know in Kern County, you have to go through 6 supervisors and then the assistant director before you even get to the director. So
Wow.
it does take, yeah.
But
I had a page full of supervisor. Yeah.
And you write
So
down
you
their
do
name.
have
You write down the dates and the times, and all of them have a
Mhm.
reference number. All of them have a reference number or a badge number. And you need to write all the information down because you can sit there and hammer them. And today I did that. I was persistent. I was persistent.
Yeah, you can never give up. You gotta remember that we're our children's voices, you know. The
Yeah.
system tries to silence us, but what do we do? What's the best thing to do when they try to silence us? We get louder. We stand
Yes, and
together.
that's something we have to watch ourselves. I know screaming does not help.
Yeah, no. We actually just did a protest in Kern County, the beginning of the month, you know,
Right,
and
you were telling me about that. I remember that.
it was a peaceful protest, but I did have my blowhorn, you
Yes, but
know.
hey,
But
protests seem
you just
lately they've been really, sometimes there's professional protesters that'll show up and take it from your hands and cause trouble and hatred among people, and it's sad. There's these
yeah,
professional protest people.
yeah. So, and I was reading through the comments, and Dorothy asked what a Marsden motion was. So, a Marsden motion is where you can get a hearing. It's with you, the judge, and your attorney, and it's to fire your attorney to either get another attorney or to represent yourself. It's a ex parte hearing. So they clear out the courtroom, and you figure out the best route to go.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm not trying to be politics here. I know that Megan from Wilmington, Delaware, Megan Wilson, who are using now for the first time Megatha Tabitha, she says she doesn't like Donald Trump. I'm not saying you're here to like anybody. I'm in here to be all encompass both sides of the spectrum. All I know is that I don't like 4 million people a year in our country illegally that are killing a runner in Athens, Georgia. A nurse was running. I know about Athens, Georgia because University of Georgia is nearby, and I follow University of Georgia football. And my best friend from high school and he are still together went to University of Georgia. So I know about the school, the nurses out running in the area. A Venezuelan man who escaped out of prison, had all kinds of issues, crept up behind her and killed her. Now, if we had strong borders, that wouldn't have happened. That man last night that kidnapped that child would not have happened if we had closed borders. We don't need to have our borders open. It isn't because we're being mean or ornery or anything else. It's because why should people come to the United States and not learn the language, not respect the flag, not learn U.S. history or U.S. government, and get all these benefits? They get food, clothing, shelter, transportation. They get medical, education for their children, medical, free medical. They also get a job. They give them a McDonald's at $22 an hour. These people from all walks of life. No wonder everybody comes here. Where you're guaranteed a job at 22 when you come in here. No, you don't get any of those benefits until you become a citizen. You work here first, and I'm sorry, you don't get all the same rights as citizens get. If you're a United States citizen, you're born here.
That's why other countries keep their borders closed as well, is to protect their citizens.
And if you're born here of an
that
unalienated, if you're born here of a family that's not here, you don't get the rights as citizens or be a citizen of the United States. Just because you're born in this country doesn't guarantee you get U.S. citizenship. You have to have a family that gives you those rights. That is some of our weak points and some of our problems, but I'm digressing. I shouldn't have, because right now I've reached my running time. We're at 59 minutes running time, and we're at 7:59. So tonight, for some strange reason, I've done the unthinkable. I started punctually, and I'm running my show punctually. And I'm not trying to cut you short, Samantha, but I'm so glad you shared the story. You're fun. You're thrilling. By the way, would you like a free 15 minutes with Vincent Davis?
Well, I mean, if I could get another 15, but I do already have the 15 from calling in, so I don't know.
Yeah, I know you can. I'm just trying to tell you, his rule is anybody that's a guest or talks in your show, Bob, by calling in, I will talk to them free for 15 minutes. So,
Well, if I can do it, I'll do it. Like I said, as you could tell, my case is very complicated.
Well, how did it go with Vincent? Have you talked to him?
No, I have not talked to him yet. I did send you the information that you said that you sent over to Grace, but I have not heard back from Grace yet on that issue.
How long has it been?
It's only been like 2 or 3 days.
Okay, well, it's a little bit too soon to have another thing.
You told me to wait.
Once you do that one first, and you can come in and get again. For all you listeners out there, if you call in or a guest, you get a free 15-minute with a professional attorney who's well-schooled in juvenile law, family law, and dependency law, who's won thousands of cases back from CPS, who's also a civil attorney that's won millions of dollars against CPS, both in state and federal court. So I want to thank you very much, Samantha Bernard, for being on the show. I know you're a husband too, was part of it too. So I want to thank him for allowing you to do it. But I also want to thank the people in my room. Classic Mommy, I don't know where you're from, but I think you're from New York, if I'm not mistaken, Classic Mommy. Dorothy Cook, I know you're from North Carolina. Thank you very much for being a part of this. Bartley, you're from Montana. Thank you. Who else do I have here? Bernice Campbell, thank you.
That's my mom.
Oh, that's your mom. Hello, Mom, out there. You have a great daughter, Samantha. And it was the sheriff. Okay, she was correcting something called the sheriff. All right. So thank you for being in here, Bernice Campbell. And we have Corella, who is Felicia from Oxnard, California, in Ventura County, fighting a case. They're trying to evict her. She was a caregiver for her mom. She has 2 babies that her dad was watching, but her dad won't give them back to her. So it's really complicated. I think I've already talked about Dorothy Cook in North Carolina. And then there's Megan Wilson from Wilmington, Delaware, who started off the show with a lot of comments there. And I appreciate you being here, Megan. You have to be strong. You're really good. Megan is a strong person. And Christina Reynosa from Las Vegas, Nevada, is doing a grievance. They help her file a grievance against CPS. There are great people in this room. And God bless you all. Remember, keep fighting for your child. Do not give up.
Never.
Families are important. Do not give up. There will be a brief message from Vincent Davis after I sign off. And both Samantha and I disappear, but the show will show a video with my attorney, Mr. Davis. It's got a good song to it. Have you heard it? It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, I listened to it the other night when you played it. So, I'm going
to play it right now.
But okay. I'll be back tomorrow, and
Okay, well, you can be back twice today. That's fine. Now I'll be on again tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Remember, it's the weekend now. I'm on at 8 a.m. in the morning. And tomorrow's a special day for Saturday because I'm going to enjoy something fun. I'm going to hang out with a pro football player that I followed him in high school when my son was going to high school and on a national team, but he is coming to do a football camp, and I've known him since 2015. And he plays for the Detroit Lions. And he's going to be really thrilled to see me because I'm one of those fan supporters. I love high school football, college football, and pro football. So anyway, I'm going to say good night. And again, thank you, Samantha, and God bless everybody.
A vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted. And if you go against it, it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce them. This is Vincent Davis defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the last one.